let's get to page 12 in our books. Page 12 in our books. And again, the quiz will be moved to Wednesday. We'll go over the rest of the review tomorrow. But this is where things are going to start taking a curve, turn, bump. But don't panic. You guys have all seen confidence intervals at some point, especially during election years, when they say, you know, this person is leading in the polls. And then down at the very bottom of the screen, you might notice a plus or minus 5% or plus or minus 10%. Okay? So, this is called the confidence interval. And a confidence interval is basically how confident are you that you had posed a question, you had run a study. How confident are you that if you were to redo the study that it would fall back in? Or how comfortable would you be that the entire population would fall somewhere within the mean? So, or within the, so normal curve. Hello, how are you?
Morgan.
Morgan, good to see you. I bet you know, let's see, Morgan, I have a second seat there available, or I have this comfy seat available, or I have the seat back where Aiden's sitting right now available. That's a good seat. Perfect. Welcome. You guys all know Morgan? Morgan, that's everybody. All right, so a confidence interval basically works like this. So we're going to call this one standard deviation. And you remember our rules? We could say, what's our general rule for standard deviation? How does it break out? What's the numbers? 90 something or something? What percent of our population should fall in between? 68. What should fall within two standard deviations? 95. And then three standard deviations, anyone remember? 99.7. Is that right? All right. So if we did a study and we have a confidence interval that we assign to it, it's Swanee's here. All right.
Let's go. People are starting to move in.
Alec is here. So how confident would we be that we would still fall within a certain range? Now, the further out we say, like if we ran a study and said, hey, we are 60% confident something's going to fall into our range. That's really, taking things out further and further. We're 95% confident. Ooh, that makes it tougher. But we say, hey, we're 99% confident that if we found our information, if we did, applied to the rest of the world, that would be really tough to do. But there are things, and of course, with anything with statistics, the better you form your information, and the more money you spend on your study, the more confident you can be that things are going to fall within place. So this again is on page 12 of our notes. It says a confidence interval is a way of estimating a population parameter that incorporates the margin of error. Okay? So example 1 says, let's assume that medical researchers are trying to, estimate the average cholesterol level of adult women in the United States. Okay? That seems like something that we could find. Okay, you have a lot of data on people in the United States who go have some sort of medical test done each year. You all might not have too many done, but as you get to my age, you start going once a year and you basically just make sure everything looks good for the next year. And then you go get everything else done. And it's amazing the amount The older you get, the amount of blood they draw keep going up. My age goes up, the amount of blood they draw. You know you're in trouble when the person comes over saying, we're going to draw some blood, and they have a tray of vials. It's like, oh. Like, did you want to lay down? No, I'll be all right. In fact, you want to put the needle in? Because I'm not weird, dude.
You would be, sir.
And of course, I'm sitting there on my arm. They'll be looking at like this vein right here, and I'm like, no, this one's much better.
Do you at least get a cookie afterwards?
No, because I'm gluten-free, so.
Have a cookie.
Yeah, but they don't always carry that stuff. Okay, so on page 12 it says, let's assume the medical researchers are trying to estimate the average cholesterol level of women in the United States. As always, they collect a sample of random U.S. women that they might use for the data to produce a 95% confidence interval as follows. So this case, they're trying to do this, and they said the word random, which is stuff that we want. Now, let's start poking holes in this study. They're saying all U.S. women, yes? Does your financial standing and your demographics kind of matter? Like, do you think that if you come from Greenwood Village, you're more likely to go to see a doctor than if maybe you were in each and every year than somebody who lives on food stamps? I'm not trying to take anything away from people that are on food stamps. We don't know what everyone's thing is. But the hard thing about this is you can start kind of poking holes in this. What are some things that you can justify? And I'm just trying to take apart the study a little bit. Not saying the study's not correct or not. But there are, they call them food deserts. Okay? Like, right around this area, we have a handful of grocery stores we can go to. You go to the grocery store, or your parents can go to the grocery store, or guardians go to the grocery store, and you can buy fresh fruits and vegetables, frozen foods, meats, cheeses, all of the amenities. Agree? But there are places that are in the Denver area that you have a neighborhood that they have a 7-Eleven or a Circle K or some convenience store is basically the only grocery store, which isn't really a grocery store, for that neighborhood. So if you have an affluent area, you would hope that you might have better results than a non-affluent area. Okay? Not that people who don't have money have bad blood, it's just they just live in an area they don't have all the amenities that we do. So I'm just trying to poke some holes in this. But let's just pretend that they are truly doing a random survey of U.S. women. So that would have been, things I would also call in this, the research, or in the study, I would want to see what is the age gap of women that they're looking at. Are they looking at 16-year-olds, or are they looking at 30 to 80-year-olds? It doesn't say. So I'm just trying to give you guys some, not saying that this is wrong, but if we were to look at a true study, you want to see a lot of information, but you also want to see how did they randomly sample these people? How did they collect data? And if they went just based on doctor's office visits and they randomly selected, then you have people who didn't go to the doctor's office that you're not going to be able to have a random sample of. Okay, so there's just different things that are in place that are some gaps in this study. Okay, so as always, they collected sample of random U.S. women that might use the data to produce a 95% confidence interval. Okay, so they're saying, based on their study, that they feel that you should go into this range, which basically goes from 176 minus 20, from 156 all the way to 176 plus 20 to 196. So what this basically means is if they were to keep going out and finding people and testing it against what they have found. That they're 95% confident that if they pick another random person or continue to pick random women in the study, that they're going to fall within this range of people with cholesterol levels. Okay? So it's kind of a tricky thing to do. This is all kind of small print if you ever see something on TV or if it's in a magazine or it comes to you in a message, some sort of ad. Okay, so this can be interpreted. We are 95% confident that the average cholesterol level of U.S. women is between 156 and 196. In the confidence interval above, 176 is called the point of the estimate. Okay, so point of the estimate. Hey, nice haircut. Okay, and as our best single estimate of the population parameter, the average cholesterol level of all U.S. women, the margin of error is 20. That we didn't do any of the stuff. None of the stuff above came up with this. It's just they're giving you this information. That is, we are 95% confident that our point estimate is accurate within 20 points of the cholesterol levels. So the 156 to 196 is called the confidence interval. Okay? So that's basically what it takes place with. It's you've done a study, you have some sort of plus or minus margin of error that's going to take place, and that 95% confidence interval can be really whatever number you assign to it. As far as some of the tests go, we haven't gotten into how you write the test. And those of you who came in late, I moved the quiz to Wednesday, so tomorrow we will finish up the review and then, knock the quiz out of the park. The reason I did that is I had a quiz in Algebra 1, so rather than moving the Algebra 1 quiz, I decided to give the cool kids the extra day. So, all right, the confidence level is set by the researcher. If a researcher wants to create confidence level in which they're almost certain to capture the population parameter, they might choose a confidence level of 99% or higher. Such intervals tend to be very wide, so precision is often lost. Lower confidence levels, such as 90%, even 80%, would be more precise, but possibly higher that the interval will not capture the population parameter. So, you're trading off back and forth. Okay. In the example above, regarding the average cholesterol level of U.S. women, the confidence level was set at 95%. Had the researcher set the confidence level to 99%, the margin of error would have increased. So as this increases, this value will increase as well. Okay, so you're trying to see how you can capture everybody. Example 2, it says, let's assume that the owner of a major food store chain wants to know the percentage of people who enter the store who make a purchase. The owner wants 90% confident interval and collects the data. Okay, so they're just giving us this. They're telling us that 56% or 0.56, and they're doing a margin of error of 0.05. So we're going to add 0.05 and subtract 0.05, so we're going to get from 0.51 to 0.61. Okay. The point of estimate is this. And then this means that our best estimate is 56% of all customers who enter the store will buy something. The margin of error is 0.05, which means with 90% confidence, okay? So 90% confidence, we believe our estimate of 56% will be accurate within 5%, okay? So let's go back and look at this real quick. Oh, okay, it was percentages. Never mind. I just want to double check something. The confidence interval from 0.51 to 0.61 means we are 90% confident that
The actual percent of customers who enter the store want to buy something between 51 and 61% of the time. It needs to be noted that the confidence intervals can provide powerful statistical evidence. If someone were to argue that less than half of the customers who entered the store were buying something, our interval would have solid evidence to counter that. After all, the entire interval is above 50%. Okay, now, this King Soopers over here, when y'all were freshmen and you weren't driving, this King Soopers over here has an awful lot of kids that go in there on their lunch period. Agree? So I do know that a great deal of those kids might go in, because I always get a report after lunch. Hey, these 3 kids won't be back because they got caught shoplifting. And I kid you not, it happens more often than you know. Okay?
How do you get caught? So lame.
I don't know. Carry it back.
No, like it's so easy, dude.
So easy to swipe stuff.
Yes. Like they're understaffed too. Like they make it easier than us.
They're not on strike anymore. They're all in there.
They're still understaffed.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So let's finish this up. I'm almost done. On the other hand, if someone were to make the claim that 60% or more customers bought something, we would need evidence to counter that. 60% is within the confidence interval. Okay, they're saying 60%. It's within the interval, but it could be considered plausible, but we're kind of at the top end of our confidence interval on it. When we evaluate such statistical evidence, it is appropriate to draw judgments based upon how close a value might be to the edge of an interval. Someone might try to argue that an interval provides evidence less than 60% of the customers who enter the store buy something because most of the interval is below 60%. That logic is faulty, however. At the level of confidence we choose, every value within the interval must be considered plausible. Every value outside the interval would be considered very unlikely, but not impossible. Okay, so that kind of is 5-6. Okay, and again, this is going to start getting goofier and goofier, so we're going to have to make sure we are pausing. What I assign you today will be due on, when's our quiz?
Wednesday.
So we'll make this due on Thursday. And I know that hurts people's feelings. So tomorrow, which is Tuesday, we will save that for being sure. Note cards are good or are ready for the quiz on Wednesday. Quiz Wednesday is 5-1 to 5-5. 5-1 to 5-5. Okay? All right. Seem all right? I know you keep waiting for the goofiness to come in. All right. So, page 77 and 78. Again, will be due on Thursday. So I'll give you the rest of the period to work on it. I'm going to stop my recording now. And then tomorrow, please bring back that one review sheet that we had worked on. If you don't have it, that's okay. I'll have some extra copies made for tomorrow to make sure you have that so you can make the note card. And yes, I have note cards if you need that for this quiz. Sound like a deal? Say